Hey guys, Mars with the Gravity Project here, and this video is going to be Might and Prestige Explained. So I'm sure you guys are tired of seeing me in Lambert Forest. I promise the next video will take place in a different location. But without further ado, I'm going to get into it. And we're starting off in a good place because I just got some followers. And so what followers do is they affect your might. Followers are on a 1-to-1 ratio with your might. So I have 10,784 followers. That means I have 10,784 might coming from my cathedral. And the thing here is your might comes from three places: your cathedral, your tower of knowledge, and all of your bastions. There's this misconception that some might, just a little, even if it's just a little portion, some of your might comes from your gear. Throw that away. that's not true. Like your might and your gear are 100% mutually exclusive. Your gear does not affect your might. Alright, that being said, your might does, however, affect your prestige, and your gear also affects your prestige. So your prestige is affected by both. What prestige is it's like a symbol. It's an indicator of how powerful somebody may be given those two things. Let's give a quick hypothetical, just to kind of clarify. So, 100% hypothetical. Let's just say there's one guy out there there are two people in a raid. Let's say, leaderboards exist on Ps4 and two people go into a raid together, and there's one guy out there who has the best gear he can have of everything. He has 1.10 gems for everything and 1.7 jewelry. He has the best of the best. He even has a legendary artifact that gives him 170% health. So he has it all. This other guy, let's say he sunk $100 into the game and just upgraded his cathedral and his tower of knowledge, and he has really good might, but he's wearing a bunch of Gen 1 gear, or not Gen 1, because Gen 1 is all that stuff the other guy's wearing. Let's say he's wearing Gen 0 gear. So they both go into the raid. The guy with the Gen 0 gear and the higher might will most likely out DPS the guy with better gear. Let's say the guy with the higher might had 40,000 might and the guy with the lower might had 20,000 or something, weird. The guy with the better might is probably going to perform better. Might is basically your base power stat subtracted with it's without modifiers. So what your gear does is it provides you modifiers. So your artifact gives you, health and whatever proc it may be, and your weapon gives you, total damage or damage when combat starts or range damage or whatever it may be, and all your gems give you, like crit chance and companion damage and all that stuff. So those modifiers obviously are going to help your damage. But if you take away the gear, obviously 40,000 is greater than 20,000 and 40,000 will outperform 20,000. So that's just kind of, your might is just indicative of what your base power is. So that's kind of that. Now I'm going to explain kind of what each one does and why each one is relevant. So what your prestige does is obviously it kind of gives you, like I said, it's an indicator of how powerful one is, and it kind of lets you get around and know whether or not you're strong enough. Obviously they could just scale things based off of might, but it's based off of prestige too because your modifiers are relevant. So that's that. Your might, like I said, is kind of what your damage is, and it also affects what kind of gear you can equip. So for those of you who've noticed the gear that you've been equipping, it'll have a requirement. So to equip Gen 1 gear, it requires that you have 12,500 might, and to equip Gen 2 gear when it comes out, it'll require that you have 30,000 might. So I'm already there. I have 34,307 might. So what you want to be accruing might. You want to be getting might a little bit at least. And so I did just post a video on a way to farm followers, and like I said, followers are on a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you want to get your might up, every day, probably just go do a few province missions and get a few followers and make sure that you're getting at least a little bit of might every day, so that when Generation 2 gear comes out, you can equip it. It's kind of like in other games and other MMOs, when you get better gear, you gear up so that you meet the requirement to get into the next raid or whatever it is to get better gear, to get the new set of better gear. Your might is that gear, kind of. So you want to be getting might just so you're eligible to get the better gear later on. That's kind of it. Hopefully this wasn't too confusing. Hopefully it was kind of clear and concise. It's not too crazy. I don't know why they have it set up this way. Like, they could have just had, like I said, they could have had all of the suggested difficulties and stuff like that revolve around might, and had prestige be, I don't know, vestigial. Like, it in a sense, prestige doesn't really matter. It's kind of like false level in a weird sense, but at the same time it's still relevant, and it still kind of does have a cool feel to it. It's like your might is what really matters, but your prestige provides a sense of progress. So, you know, like, getting your prestige up is the fun part, even though might is what actually matters. So that's that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully I cleared things up for you if there was any confusion. Remember, your gear does not affect your might, so you need to be getting might elsewhere. You need to do your bastion quests, you need to do your directives, so you can get, you know, military coins and whatever the divine deeds package thing is, all that stuff to be boosting your might. So for now, guys, I'm Mars of the Gravity Project. Like, comment, rate, definitely subscribe, do all that good stuff. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.